So I wanted to talk about how your sitemap.xml file and your robots.txt file and the Google Search Console sitemap index coverage data is all related, and how you can use those three to how they correspond and how you can solve errors and issues between the three. So I'm here at the Search Console, and if you go under coverage, you're going to get a lot of just general information, and it's not necessarily related directly to your sitemap. So this could be old excluded files or valid or error files that are being resolved beyond the sitemap. So it's kind of best to just focus on the sitemap first and then come back to the coverage and see if some of those issues are being resolved. But mainly we want to focus on the sitemap so we'll click through there and to see the index coverage from there, and it'll bring us back to the coverage here. Now we can isolate the excluded and errors to what's corresponding with the sitemap. And an issue I found that was kind of interesting that was created between the robot text and the sitemap XML file was I'm excluding a couple, or I'm disallowing, this is my robot text in the root of my folder, and here I'm saying allow all robots, and then allow all robots to go throughout the site. And then when I want to disallow them, to not have them indexing, or not necessarily indexing but crawling, as we don't want to have the robots just crawling your whole site sort of willy-nilly. You want to direct them and where they should be spending their crawl budget, because they're getting lost in places that you don't need them, where they'll start to exceed their crawl budget, and that can cause issues. So for instance, these are template files inside of a post that are just for the user to use. They're not necessarily for SEO, and so I want to eliminate those from being seen, those from being crawled. And I'm not necessarily worried about if they get indexed, but I definitely don't want them crawled. So what happened was they were also in the sitemap originally. I just took them out, but these files were showing up in the sitemap as they do in most platforms. Your sitemap is going to gather every page and post and that it has available to it. So sometimes you got to do some custom editing there between the robot text and the XML file to work with Google and its Search Console here to make sure you're getting the most efficiency out of both of those. So for example, those two files are showing up in the excluded file, and it's kind of confusing them. Right now, only one of them is showing at the time, but we don't want Google to make the decision to exclude that and then have it show up as an error. So here it's saying basically, hey, we're not seeing this in our crawl, but we are seeing it in your sitemap, and it's causing a confliction. So I simply just need to eliminate that from my sitemap so that the sitemap and the robot text are corresponding, and that will take care of that issue. So that'll eliminate this top one here, and then moving down there's the discovered and discovered currently not indexed exclude issue here, and that's just simply the 404 page. So there, that doesn't have anything to do with the robot.txt file. That's just simply the actually I just took it out, but I'll put it back so you can see how you'd want to go into your sitemap, which is also in the root folder, your sitemap XML, whether you have it being published by Yoast on WordPress, or in my case I'm using a static builder in Node, and you would go to that file, do a Command F and search, and see like, okay, the 404 is showing up here in the sitemap, and that's just not a big issue, but there again, it's how you can keep from having Google to make this decision and say, we're going to exclude this because we obviously see you don't want your 404 being indexed, but we don't want to get in the habit of letting Google make that decision. We want to make that decision for Google, so we're keeping this Search Console as clean as possible, and that way we can focus on issues like this where it's crawled, currently not indexed. So that's sort of a whole other issue that I'm just getting more familiar with, and hopefully this is something that is just a matter of rerouting and some URL fixes that were made and eventually will be updated. I'll have to do an update on the progress I'm making on that, but I just wanted to focus on, for this video, how you can eliminate errors between discrepancies with your sitemap not corresponding with, in my situation, the robot text here, and then just by simply eliminating anything that you don't want indexed in your sitemap XML file, and then also utilizing the robot text for crawl budget as well, and then having that all sort of pan out here inside of the Search Console. So that's all I got on that. I will bring an update on the crawled, currently not indexed error that's showing up and see how we can resolve that here.